Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you guys as an agency how we do onboarding and how we want to structure a 30-day mapping of onboarding a new client after signing them and after they're paid, all the way to handoff as well. So I've got this little mind map here of how I would structure an onboarding. So I'm going to start off with our onboarding form. What I always used to do was I made sure that I sent out a form with all the details that I needed, whether it be their hours, services, their FAQs, how they like the agent to sound, what's the name of their agent, any details and passwords that we would jump on. Now, I do note that usernames and passwords are very difficult to share around. So what I also like to do was to book an immediate call with them a day later, just to say, hey, I would like you to integrate directly, or can you give me your details so you can sign into your account. Now, we are doing a feature that we can send an integration directly via a link to a user or to a customer or a prospect, and then they can sign directly. So that's incoming. However, that's what we used to do back then, where they would have to log in or jump onto the platform and then they'll log in themselves. So that's day 0. Immediately after they pay, I would try to get them to do the onboarding form. Obviously, they're busy, so I would also recommend trying to book out a time with them. That also does tend to work. Day 1 and 2, once you get that form back, you want to make sure that you start building the agent based on whatever they have given you. So you want to scrape their websites or find a base prompt that you like, anything that you need, you will start prompting and building. I would honestly suggest using a Claude to do your prompting with. We have an AI builder that you can message and it will ask you the correct questions, and they can also build out the agent for you. However, prompting is a very difficult thing. You have to make sure that the agent sounds correct and is up to the prospect's vision as well. Day 3, I would start looking at integrations. We try to make our integrations as easy as possible. So whether that be a Google Calendar, whether that be a basic CRM, they tend to be quite easy to do builds on. Anything more complex, which would be anything that doesn't have an API, I would completely go against that. And that's important for when you do your discovery calls, is to see what CRMs they are using, what calendars they are using, and also what else they would like as well. That's what I would focus on day 3, after you've got a basic prompt going, and to make sure that that aligns with how it sounds and how it should sound. Day 4 is the dry runs. This is probably one of the most important steps, is making sure that the scenarios that you create and the scenarios that will come up often are up to the standard of the prospect. Now, you won't know this, but you will have a good understanding of what the agent should sound like and whether it's a good sounding agent or not. For example, if the agent is saying, hey Andrew, thank you Andrew, this Andrew, that's not a great agent. It means that you are repeating the name too often and it's not natural to the call. So you really want to pinpoint what the agent should sound like and make sure you do a lot of testing. I would say testing is probably the most important part of this agent, because you have to think of the agent as like a real human being. It doesn't take 2 minutes to train up a real human being, right? It takes months and months to train up a human being so that they understand what to say and what not to say. Likewise with a voice agent, it is significantly faster though, because you have really good prompting techniques nowadays, but you still want to make sure that the agent isn't saying, hey name, hey Andrew, thank you Andrew, thanks for that answer Andrew. That's not a usual way of how an agent should sound and how a human sounds, so I don't expect that to be a good outcome for your client. I would also record the calls as well. With our platform and with most platforms these days, you'll be able to get the call recording. I would send these recordings to your client. I would let them have a listen to see what they don't like, what they like, and if they're not happy with it, then you can make iterations on it. If they are happy with it, then that's when you move on to the next part. So after you send your sample calls, you want to actually do a test session as well. What I like to do is I like to go on to a call with the client. I like to book this call in advance to make sure that I am following deadlines. I would walk through every single scenario that could come up, and I would ask them, hey, are there any scenarios that come up? What type of calls do you get? Do you get these calls often? Are these too much of an edge case? Are these a good edge case to deal with? You want to make sure that everything is involved. You want to make sure that everything is included to make sure that there is no edge case that is missed. Now, it is quite common for the client to be like, oh, I don't know, it comes up. If that's the case, then you want to make sure you're prompting the agent to say, if you cannot deal with this scenario or this situation, ensure the agent says, I'm not too sure about the answer. I can get one of my team members or I can get the owner to call you back. This way, if it won't hallucinate, because hallucinations is still a big issue nowadays. The way to overcome these hallucinations is to make sure that your prompt is bulletproof. And by doing that, it won't hallucinate. In my opinion, hallucinations only occur when the prompt is unclear or there is some misalignment with the prompt. So that's how we try to avoid any hallucinations, is to make sure that we go through every single edge case. And if we haven't, then you list that in the prompt too. Then we move on to day 8 or 9, any tweaks. So after your client test session, no doubt you'll be given some feedback, whether that be good feedback, bad feedback. You want to make sure you want to implement those. You want to prioritize what is important, and you also want to make pushbacks on what is not required. So most of these tweaks will be involved in the prompt. By then, I'd expect that the integrations are already working, that you've tested those integrations to make sure that they're working. However, mostly would be prompt, and they would be small tweaks if you have built the agent correctly. The most important part, obviously, is when you go live. After you've made those tweaks, you want to book that call with them so that they can forward their number to the AI agent. Now, this is probably a pretty tricky step, and I would recommend spending maybe an hour or two doing research on how to call forward. The issue with call forwarding is every carrier is different. Every phone number is different. For example, prepaid plans do not have call forwarding. Postpaid plans do have call forwarding. So you have to be on a monthly plan to have call forwarding enabled. Some carriers don't offer call forwarding, no matter who they are. So if they're like a mobile virtual network of like an AT&T or a Vodafone, then they are unlikely to have call forwarding. So you want to make sure that you get these details out of your client to make sure that the agent will even work in the first place if it's been deployed. You will never get a business owner who would like a new number. They will always want to use their existing number. So you need to make sure that you can serve this client. If they don't have a number that has been call forwarded, you need to make that clear at the start to make sure that they're aware of this and put that in the contract. So after you go live, I would recommend monitoring the calls for 7 days. I would add any summaries to your email address as well so that you receive them, to make sure that you can see all the logs, whether customers are happy, whether customers are frustrated with the agent, and you need to make those iterations as soon as possible. The client will see those and they will ask you and why it's happening. So you need to make sure that you know what is going on so that you can fulfill and make sure that the agent is sounding correct. After you've done that, it's very simple. I would still do a light handoff. So I would still make sure that day 17 to 30, you're still monitoring the agent. But if you have done a good job, you should not be monitoring the agent. You should know that any call that comes in will be answered by the agent, and you only need minimal visibility. What you should do though instead is still have monthly check-ins. You should have a monthly check-in to see how they're going, how the client is finding everything, and then just start discussing, hey, I noticed that this call, someone asked for this integration. Would you be interested in entertaining that a bit further or looking to do that in the future? Let's say they wanted a summary of all the logs in a spreadsheet per month. Hey, no worries, I can do that. Do you want to start building that together? That's where you sort of do your upselling. And as a result, your goal is to become the AI ecosystem and the AI operating system of a business. You shouldn't just touch voice, you should touch other aspects of voice that surround it as well. So I would really recommend you guys looking at to review and to make sure that you're still upselling, because that's how a client will stay with you and you'll retain longer. You need to make sure that you're providing all the tools of AI as your goal at the end of the day, and most small businesses at the end of the day will want to become AI sufficient and AI efficient, as most small businesses will want to become AI efficient and not fall behind their other small businesses as well. So I really recommend that. That's a very quick video on how I would onboard a client, as well as what's worked in the past for me and how I've been able to get a really successful agency. So I really recommend following this pattern. Obviously, this does not work for every single client. It is just simply what it's worked for me. So I do want to make that disclaimer. Nonetheless, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment if you've got any questions, and join the school community. We always make sure that our school community sees these videos so that they have the best understanding of how to succeed as an agency. Thanks everyone. See you guys in the next video.